Everybody, I'm Dacian Smith, and thanks for joining us ahead of our game of the week, which features the undefeated St. Paul Saints taking on the 1-3 Theodore Bobcats here at E.E. Delaney Stadium. This is a game that, of course, has a lot of history between both head coaches. Everybody knows Steve Mask, multiple-time state champion here at St. Paul's, now over at Theodore. His former defensive coordinator, Ham Barnett, now the lead man here at St. Paul's. Now, these two teams have met once in the past last year when Steve Mask made his return to E.E. Delaney Stadium. Theodore getting that win in a tough one. Theodore also undefeated in this series. Not a lot of history between the two teams. Theodore is 3-0, but of course, you know St. Paul's would love to get that first win here tonight, and it's region action. We're getting near the midway point of the season, so of course these region wins come at a premium. So let's talk about tonight's matchup. You can see the Theodore Bobcats warming up right there. They look like they're ready to go. I had a chance to catch up with head coach Steve Mask yesterday, who you're going to hear from in a second. But let's talk about Theodore's season so far this year. Again, 1-3 on the season. They did get that first win last week at home against Baldwin County. And when I was talking to Coach Mask, off camera last week, he said that win was important for a couple reasons. One, it's the first win of the season. Of course, 6A, really tough. Anybody who's from this area and follows high school football knows that 6A Region 1 is one of the toughest regions that we have in this entire state. Another reason why it was important, that was the last home game for a while. They definitely had a home-heavy front part of their schedule. Now they're on the road for about the next month. They don't get back home to Theodore until October 25th when they take on Saraland. So let's talk about how Theodore did get that win. They won 28-7, really leaned on the ground game a lot. Last week, J.J. Bush, junior running back, he ran for 21 carries, 234 yards, and 2 touchdowns to lead the Bobcats to that win. So everybody who knows Theodore, St. Paul's, those are two teams. They pride themselves. Good defense, running the ball. A lot of O-line and D-line play going to be the focus of tonight. So J.J. Bush getting off to that hot start last week, finishing with 234 yards. They're definitely going to lean on the run game here tonight in order to get this win. Now, their season before that, they did start 0-3 with a 10-point loss at home to Baker, a tough 3-point loss to Spanish Fort at home, and then on the road against McGill-Tulane, they lost by 2. That was, if you remember, that was that week where we had all that rain. A lot of offenses around the area struggled. That one really turned into a battle of the kickers, and Theodore did lose that one 18-16 to McGill. But again, bouncing back, getting that first win of the season, 28-7 against Baldwin County. All these wins extremely important. You look at 6A standings right now. Theodore 1-2, St. Paul's 2-0, Saraland 3-0, and that's in the region standings. So Theodore want to kind of go on a run here in order to keep pace as we get to the midway point, past the midway point, going towards the playoffs. We all know only 4 teams in each region can make it to the playoffs. 6A is absolutely stacked. You look at it, Saraland, Spanish Fort, St. Paul's, Theodore, Gulf Shores, last year's 5A state champion, McGill-Tulane, Baldwin County, Blunt, Murphy. That's a lot of big-name schools, a lot of talent, a lot of guys that are used to making deep playoff runs. Somebody's got to sit out. Of course, the Bobcats, the Saints here tonight, neither one of them wants that to be them sitting at home once we get into the postseason. So how big would this win be for Theodore going forward? They're here tonight against St. Paul's. Then we have a break in region action next week against Fairhope. Not going to count towards region records for either team, but then they jump back into region play. They're on the road at Murphy, have an off week, and then on the road at Gulf Shores, who's really seemed to kind of get their rhythm going. They got their first win of the season last week as well. So Gulf Shores looks like they got it going behind Colin Wilson and that run game. And then they go back home to Saraland, last year's 6A Region 1 champion, and then they finish up the regular season against Blunt. So they do have kind of a tough road ahead after this game. So this win would mean a lot for them, not only in the standings, but also momentum-wise. You want to, once you get that first win of the year, no matter when it comes, you want to keep stacking them, you want to keep building, you want to keep getting better, you want to keep going as we get towards the postseason. So look for Theodore to rely a lot on the ground game. Look for a lot of battles between the offensive line and the defensive line. Of course, everybody knows Theodore has Micah Dubose, who's been a standout ever since he first took the field here in high school, played at Viger. Now he's over here at Theodore. Coach Mask obviously extremely happy to have him. St. Paul's not exactly happy to see him, but of course they'll do what they have to do to get the job done. This is what football is all about. You play those matchups, you key in on those feature guys, and you do what you have to do. But Micah DeBose is definitely going to be a name to watch. You can probably tell who Micah DeBose is over there. So pay attention to the running game, pay attention to that O-line, that D-line. Both teams, again, pride themselves on the running game. J.J. Bush for Theodore. You have Anthony Frazier over on St. Paul's, who we'll talk about in a minute. But again, like I mentioned, we did get a chance to catch up with head coach Steve Mask yesterday just to get a feel for how he thought his season has gone so far, what he thought about his game, returning back home to E. Delaney Stadium. Here's what he had to say. Let's start with your overall impressions of the season so far.
Well, I think, we're not exactly where we needed to be. We'd like to be 4-0, obviously, but we are what we are. We're 1-3, and we've lost a couple of real close region games that's got us a little bit of a hole. But our kids hadn't quit trying, they hadn't quit believing. So, I believe we're going to play good tomorrow night. I really do.
Especially in this region, how big was that first win against Baldwin County last week?
Well, 0-3 digs you a really big hole. 0-2 dealt us a hole, but we couldn't afford to go 0-3. So it was a really big win, plus first win of the year. So anytime you get that first one, it makes things a little bit easier.
And when you look at St. Paul's that you have coming up tomorrow, what kind of challenges do you see in them?
Well, I think a team that plays very smart, and they play very hard, and defensively they run the ball, they tackle very well, and then offensively they take advantage of situations that you give them. They're very sound, they know how to play, they know how to win. So I see a team that's going to give us some fits.
I say, how do you see this game playing out? I know Coach Barnett was telling me, and just looking at how both of you teams have played this so far this year, it's like could be a lot of run, a lot of battle in the trenches, so to speak.
Well, I think the defensive line's where this game will be won. I mean, there's no secret that we're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball. We both cut out of the same cloth a little bit. Ham and I worked together for 4 years, I guess it was. But, we both know each other a little bit and how I think we're going to approach it. So definitely could be one with the line of scrimmages.
Now, what's it like coaching against Coach Barnett?
Well, like I said, we've known each other for a long time. I spent 14 years there, so I know the place. So we know how tough it's going to be, and we know that, like I say, Ham's going to have them ready to play, and hopefully we'll have ours ready to play.
Micah DeBose and what he's been able to do this year, how special has he been?
Well, I think Michael's come in and fit in real well. I mean, obviously he's a great talent. Why Alabama's offered him. He's committed to Alabama. He's come in and he's been a great teammate and obviously a good person, and we're glad we got him, that's for sure.
On the other side of with St. Paul's, of course, you got to deal with Tank.
Right.
Kind of being all over the field. What challenges do you see in trying to slow him down?
Well, I think, again, Tank's been recruited for a reason also, but they've got other good players. The Abrams kid's a really good player, and, the McLeod kid, they've got all kind of kids that are good players. And both of us do. We don't just individualize with Micah and then with Tank. It's got to be a team effort.
What would this win mean for you guys going forward?
That's another region win. Every region game's important. They all count. So, at the end of the year, you stack them up and say how many you got and how many you don't have. And there's probably going to be a team or two left out of this region that could probably be in the playoffs somewhere else. But it is what it is, so you can't get behind the 8 ball too much.
What's the keys to victory for tomorrow night?
Control the line of scrimmages. I think it comes down to that. And then obviously in big games, kicking game comes into it. And the kicking games cost us 2 wins already. Kicking game, McGill was huge for them. They had 6 field goals, and we put ourselves in bad position with kicking. And, we've got to get better at kicking game, and obviously St. Paul's has got a good kicking game.
And that was Theodore head coach Steve Mask, who I had a chance to speak with yesterday ahead of the game. There you see him right now as his team finishes kind of warming up, getting loose as they get ready to head back into the locker room, finish getting dressed, get those final instructions before taking the field in this big 6A Region 1 matchup here at St. Paul's. Now, St. Paul's has already gone back into the locker room, them and head coach Ham Barnett, to do the exact same thing. Wins come at a premium in this region, so everybody wanting to take that extra time. We're about 38 or so minutes away from kickoff, so everybody kind of heading into the locker rooms a little bit early to get ready, get set for this game kicking off here at 7 o'clock. Now let's talk about St. Paul's. They're undefeated, 3-0 on the season. Now they're 0-3 all time against Theodore, like I mentioned in my earlier hit, but hey, what better time to go ahead, get that first win than right here tonight at home. Now, Coach Ham Barnett, you're gonna hear a little bit later, he's extremely proud of this team. He likes this team. He likes the direction that they're heading, especially earlier in the season. Again, they're 3-0. This is where you want to be at this point in the season. Now, how did they get here? They open up the season with, of course, that big rivalry. We're in the Battle of Old Show Road. Tough. Next week on the road at Baldwin County. Another tough, grinded out, gritty 3-point win, 24-21 on the road against Baldwin County. Then they had an off week. Really started to put the pieces together last week when they were on the road against Murphy, winning 41-0. That's exactly what you like to see as you're trying to get some momentum. Much like Theodore and J.J. Bush, St. Paul's leaned on the ground game. Anthony Frazier had 100 yards for two touchdowns on just 12 carries. So again, Anthony Frazier going to be called on a lot here. Defensive side of the ball for St. Paul's. You know who it is. Tank Jones had the game winner actually against UMS Wright. Kind of one of their do-it-all players. Stepped up a lot here in his junior year. He's fired up. He's ready to go in this one. Ham Barnett, everybody here at St. Paul is really extremely proud of the career he's had here so far and what he's been able to do this season. They're only here at game 4, so the sky's the limit for him. The sky's the limit for St. Paul's as they get ready to take on Theodore. Now, we talked about what this win for Theodore would mean. Let's talk about what this win for St. Paul's would mean as they get ready to get into the middle and the back half of their schedule. They have tonight against Theodore, next week on the road at Faith Academy. Again, non-region matchup. St. Paul's 6A, Faith Academy is 5A, so not really going to affect the region standings for either team. But hey, every win matters. You get that momentum, you keep going. So St. Paul's, Faith Academy next week. Then they're on the road against Gulf Shores, jumping back into region play. Again, same thing. Gulf Shores really run heavy. Colin Wilson has been having to step in at quarterback. Gulf Shores has really been firing on all cylinders. And if you look at what Colin Wilson's been able to do, 300 yards against MGM, over 200 yards last week in their first win of the season. So St. Paul's definitely going to have their hands full with him. Then after Gulf Shores, Saraland. And again, St. Paul's, Saraland, they're the only 2 unbeaten teams in region play. So should St. Paul's win here tonight, win against Faith Academy, win against Gulf Shores, you're really going to see a battle of the undefeateds. Winner takes sole possession of first place. So in between now and that Saraland game, these games are extremely important for St. Paul's. Go ahead and keep pace for that top spot. Of course, that's where you want to be. The region would really run through you when it comes to playoff time. Then after Saraland on the road against McGill-Tulane, back here, back-to-back home games to finish out the season against Blount and Spanish Fort. That Spanish Fort one's going to be another one to watch as we get here late in the season and teams start to jockey for playoff position. Again, these are 2 teams, you heard Coach Mass talk about it in that interview. These are 2 teams that are really cut from the same cloth. Steve Mass was here for 4 years. Ham Barnett spent a few years here under him as defensive coordinator. So you got to know Coach Barnett took some things from Steve Mass while also making this program his. And so far it's been great. St. Paul's a playoff team last year. Looked like they're on their way to it this year. Undefeated start. So you see that DNA, you see that championship DNA hasn't left St. Paul's at all. They're putting it together here early in the season. So let's hear from head coach Ham Barnett about what he had to say as far as tonight's matchup, his season so far, and the challenges that lie ahead. What do you think about your season so far? How do you think the team's done so far?
I feel like from week 1 to our 3rd game, we've improved a lot. I feel like last week at Murphy, we played a complete game. I was proud of being able to get some more guys in the football game, but the thing is we're getting back in region play, and this is a big week this week, and so we really need to start playing our best football right now.
Of course, this region's always extremely competitive. You guys started undefeated in it. How big is that going forward?
It's very big. I mean, you look before the season, we wanted to be 3-0 going into this game right here, and so each week is difficult, as you know, in our region, and so being able to be 3-0 overall and 2-0 in our region is where we want to be right now.
What kind of challenge do you see with Theodore coming up?
They're huge. I mean, they're big, they're fast, they're strong. Coach Mass has won a lot of football games in his career, and so we're going to have to play our best football against them. They're very physical at the point of contact. Their offensive and defensive line, like I said, are big and strong, and so that's going to be hard for us to deal with on Friday night.
Of course, one of those guys is Micah DeBose. How do you, go about trying to slow him down?
Yeah, I met him the other night at a function on Monday night, and he is a large human being. But I really believe in our front 7 on defense. They're experienced kids, and we got Anthony Tank Jones as well going to anchor one side of the football too. And so I feel like it's going to be a good matchup for us. But anytime you're going against a player of that caliber, it's always going to be a struggle.
I was going to say, with Tank, how special has he been this year, and how helpful is it to just see him get off to that fast start this year?
I've just watched him grow as a football player and as a person over the last 3 years, and this being his junior year, I've really seen him grow and become more relentless and become a leader. So I'm excited to see what he can do for us.
Of course, with Coach Mass coming back, obviously a lot of history here. You coached against him last year. What was that like, and what do you remember learning from him while he was here?
Well, I've taken a lot of the things that he did as a head coach when he was here, and kind of instituted some of those kind of things. I'm kind of glad it's the second year going into this game. Last year is a big build-up about Coach Mass coming back. I don't know if I've seen that as much this year. But just excited to go out there and compete is the biggest thing. I want our guys to go out there and have fun and be loose. We hadn't talked about him being here at St. Paul's. We've just talked about, being the best version of ourselves and focusing on ourselves, and hopefully that'll get us going towards Friday night.
Yes, what's the keys to win this one Friday night?
Well, it's going to be in the trenches. That's, he runs the football and they play good defense. We're known for running the football and playing good defense, and so I think whoever can take care of the football, who can score points, and maybe, I've talked about this in the past too, is like, special teams is going to be a big part of this football game. We're going to have to win the special teams battle. If we can get a block kick or a return or something like that, that could help us. Last year they beat us on a kickoff return at the end of the football game. And so we've really talked about that, and we're going to do some things to help our special teams have success on Friday night.
All right, anything else you want to add that in as?
Just excited about our guys. I really believe in this team. I'm excited about this team. I'm excited about this game because it's our next region game, and we'll just kind of see what happens on Friday.
And that was head coach Ham Barnett for the Saints ahead of tonight's matchup. There you see the crowd still filing in, but getting ready for tonight's matchup. Right now they're getting treated to some pregame entertainment from the St. Paul's cheerleaders and the baby St. Paul's cheerleaders. The PA announcer just said they had about 104 kids come to cheer camp over the summer, and now they're getting a chance to kind of show what they learned here. I'm going to go ahead and bow out and let you check out what they're doing here for a couple minutes. Nice little pregame show here at E.E. Delaney Stadium. You probably heard behind me the St. Paul's band giving them a hand, playing the fight song and everything. St. Paul's really one big family. If you're from here, you know that. If you've never been here, they're kind of this big family. The crowd, the team, the band, the cheerleaders, all kind of come together, support each other here on game day. So definitely great to see that. Again, we're a little bit under 30 minutes away from kickoff, so I'm about to go ahead and get ready. St. Paul's, Theodore, 6A Region 1 matchup. Can St. Paul stay undefeated with a share of first place in the region? Can the Bobcats build off their first win last season, move to 2-3, kind of keep pace in what's going to be an extremely crowded region heading into the back half of the season? Got a lot of stories going on here. Can Coach Ham Barnett get the win over his former head coach, Steve Mass? Will the Bobcats stay undefeated against the Saints? We're going to get all those answers here coming up in about a half hour when this game kicks off at 7. Now remember, we're going on a little bit late because of college football. Doesn't matter. We're still going to have all the highlights for you, all the stories, post-game reaction, Band of the Week, big games across the area. I'm here. We got Williamson and BC Rain, where Emily and Hal were at earlier. We got Viger Citronelle. We got Faith Academy Alberta. We have stuff going on all over the area. Of course, we're extremely happy to cover it for all of you, so make sure you come back, check us out for First and 10 after the college football game. I'm about to go ahead and get ready ahead of tonight's matchup between St. Paul's Theodore. If you're not here, you do have a little time to go ahead and get here, but don't waste any time. This game's going to kick off, and these two teams are going to be off to the races. So can't wait to see how this one unfolds. I'll catch you guys later on tonight for First and 10.